weirdly, we have another question from a Jim. We have two Jims today. That's a nice neighborhood to have two gyms you could train. He says this, and it's a very relevant question today. Do you think some of the new weight loss drugs will be or should be considered performance-enhancing drugs, especially in sports like weightlifting and wrestlers that are divided by weight class? Okay, so the quick question, Jim. Okay, and just a little background. So, Jim, I do remember it was on CBS Sunday Morning. Now, for those of you who are international, you might not know this, but here in the United States, and as I understand New Zealand, they're the only two countries that allow pharmaceuticals to advertise on TV. And you always know, because there's always that great list of side effects that they announce. You know, here's this wonder drug that could give you nausea, diarrhea, you know, your eyes fall out, your hair drop out. And they have this whole list of things. And it's, you know, kind of, sometimes, you know, I have this glowing commercial followed by all the side effects. And it just always makes me. Well, when Ozempic came out, and I'm pretty sure it was Ozempic, because they had the song, when they mentioned that your A1C would drop quickly, I instantly, the second I heard that, I was like, oh, that is a game changer. And then in the original commercial, they said that some people also note, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but say 10 to 20 pounds. And I remember watching that original commercial thinking, anything that lowers A1C is great for so many Americans. And I have to kind of speak specifically about my brothers and sisters in the 50 United States. What I didn't realize is that it would become such a big deal. So when I first heard about it, I thought, this is going to be a game changer. And I will defend Americans in the obesity epidemic. Now, I know a lot of you are young, and you know, a lot of you are still stuck in this idea that, you know, maybe some of you still, only lazy people get fat. But I've had a lot of clients who do a lot of hard work and make no difference, and they have no body composition changes. Here in the States, we subsidize wheat, corn, dairy, soy, and there's a couple others. So wheat, corn, dairy, and soy are extremely cheap. So you can easily get a lot of calories in the United States without a lot of quality of food, without eating a lot of vegetables and fruits. I was amazed. We had years ago when I was just out of college, the federal government, a person in the federal government argued that ketchup was a vegetable. And I remember thinking, wow, this is this is not a good thing. And of course now, if you go to any high school in America and count the vegetables the kids eat, there aren't, if you don't include French fries and potato chips, there's not a lot of vegetables on their plates. So you don't see a lot of fruits and vegetables being eaten, but you do see a lot of the corns, the wheats in those meals. High school cafeteria and any fast food restaurant in this area is going to have cheese on everything. So when it comes to things like Ozempic and that whole family of things, my opinion is very, it's not the strongest opinion I've ever had in my life. I certainly understand why someone would take it. Lowering your A1C it might hold these other scourges back, like diabetes and that whole what we used to call syndrome X, that whole cascade of diseases that come from having your blood sugars through the roof all the time. Your question, Jim, about these being performance enhanced drug in sports like weightlifting and wrestling, that's a little bit different. For those of you who don't know, we don't know the side effects of these drugs yet. They haven't been on the market very long. There's certain drugs seem to come out very quickly. Erectile dysfunction drugs seem to come out very quickly. Fat loss drugs seem to come out very quickly. I kind of wish sometimes you would see that kind of speed of drugs with these really troubling conditions so many people have. And I'm thinking about the neurological diseases and the heart issues and the cancer issues. There's not a lot of long-term research on it. Would I see these as banned? Well, the purist in me says, well, yeah, because it's a drug that'll improve performance. Having said that, if a drug takes between 4 weeks to 12 weeks to really impact the weight loss, every athlete I know knows a much more effective way to lose weight in a couple days. Not very many are healthy, but we know ways. So I think that would be part of the question. Now, if you want to go pure, if I'm a pure purist, yes, it's a drug, it's bad. If I want to be a little bit more logical, I fold my arms and say, I don't know. So I used to have this formula, and it's kind of still funny. If it works immediately, it's illegal. If it works quickly, it's banned. And if there's no impact at all, we sell it at these nutritional stores. That was mean, but it was kind of always true. So I would say I might need a little bit longer to have an informed opinion on this. But for right now, since it seems to take a while, I'm not considering a performance enhancing drug, because it takes 12 to 16 weeks. One other thing, because of this question, Jim, I looked up some things about, what you should do if you're on these drugs. And the number one thing I would make sure if you're on these drugs is that you're getting them, the actual drug itself. And there was this little report about how there are hair salons selling these things. And I got to tell you, I don't know if I trust that. But when you go to an actual site and they talk about what to do, the first thing you pick up is that if you take these drugs, they expect you to increase your protein and increase your water consumption. What a shock. Anybody who's ever done any, weight loss, fat loss discussions with clients will tell you those are the first things we go to. Josh Hillis has been, punching that button for a long time. The other thing I thought was interesting is that they also recommend lifting weights 3 days a week, doing some explosive exercises like the one I read, I said, and this is why I remember it, it said kettlebell swings, which I thought was, and they also expect you to exercise every day. So if somebody goes on a weight loss drug and while doing it increases their protein and their water, gets more quality sleep, increases their veggies and fruits, starts training, weights in the weight room 3 days a week, exercising daily, doing kettlebell swings, at the end of the 12 weeks, is it the drug or is it logical training? So for right now, I'm a mixed bag on this. I know a lot of people who really struggle with their weight. That's why I push the gut biome thing so much with people I work with. As funny as I'm sitting here, just yesterday, my little group got together and we made sauerkraut, which is kind of this little, we do this every so often. Our lifting group gets together and we make sauerkraut. Well, it's so inexpensive. But I mean, if you're eating your sauerkraut, you're eating your kimchi, you're eating your fermented foods, you have a diverse number of vegetables and fruits you're eating. If you garden, if you play in the dirt, some of this stuff. Drink coffee, which I guess is great for your gut biome. I just read the other day that coffee has more fiber than bananas. I might have misunderstood it, but that's what it said. But I had to think that one through a while. 2 cups of coffee has more fiber than a banana. If it's true, that's amazing. If it's not true, I'm still going to use it anyway because it's amazing. So when you sit back and you look at somebody, work with one person who lived on macaroni and cheese for a long time, this person's gut biome is completely destroyed by these kinds of things, but by this choice in diet. And so if the person slides over to the family of drugs, fine, but at least check the boxes on improving the gut biome, getting the sleep, doing all these things first. For your question and sports, right now I'm going to say I don't think so because it takes so long to get the results. But I would also support if an organization came out against it. I support it, like what I should say here is I would understand it I know my response is at some levels weak, but it's a good question. And there's just so many layers and levels that I'm still kind of going, yeah. But it's a good, and let's come back to it, Jim. Come back to it in a year or so, and let's talk again. Thank you.